All right, welcome to the Permaculture Pimpcast, the only pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. How you doing, honey?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Don't worry, y'all. She's going to get the hang of it. So we got a whopping 0 people in the house right now, which, oh, wow, heavens to Murgatroyd, just jumped up to 12. So, hey, y'all, this is episode 145 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where we discuss, first of all, we got to talk about this word. It stands for permaculture is my passion. That's what it stands for all the new people coming in here thinking, oh, my goodness, what did I just tune into? Yeah, Permaculture Pimpcast. That's what it's all about, where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. And as always, this episode brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! That's my that's the homestead honey for you right there. Heaven's Harvest, y'all. 10% off with promo code PERMA, PERMA. And we had Clayton Llewellyn on yesterday from Heaven's Harvest. And good night. He's giving you all the reasons, well, all of us, all the reasons why we really, really, really ought to be thinking about preparedness. And one thing I like about that dude is that at the end of the day, he wasn't in there trying to sell his products. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. He was telling folks, hey, grow this stuff. You need to figure out how to do it. And that's one of the biggest things I loved about having that dude on there. And that's why I sought them out. There's no advertisers on this show that I haven't personally vetted and looked into. And by the way, like somebody else said in the comments there, hey, on the way in, hit that thumbs up. Tells everybody at YouTube to go ahead and start suppressing us. So please go ahead and do that as soon as you can. This episode also, if you'd like to hear it in the audio version, you can check it out in the Fountain app, where you can listen to all your podcasts over there. You can triple up the speed. You can even drop comments over there. And, that's exactly how we're going to roll. At least, well, I'll put it this way. It's probably best that you put your comments either in the email form, because right now we got a bunch of transitions and it's enough for the Homestead Honey to keep up with all the stuff we got going on right now. And if you would like to tip a pimp, go check us out there on the Fountain app. And anyway, they got a derivation of Bitcoin over there called SATs, SATs, or Satoshi, whatever they call them things. You can drop some coin over there in the form of that. So if you want to drop some SATs on some PIMPs, just check us out on the Fountain app. All right, as you can see, I got a new co-host here. Yeah, Homestead Honey herself. And honey, how does it feel? Because you've done this before. It just feels a little bit weird being the co-host now.
Yeah, a little bit. I've not done this very much.
You've done enough of it.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I tell everybody how smart you are, and now they get to find out up close and personal. Folks, it's going to take a little bit to get her out of her box. But I'm telling you what, she's the brains of the outfit, and she's wicked smart, and she's the only one in the world that doesn't know it. So, yeah, one of the many beautiful qualities about her. So, hey, thanks to everybody out there for giving the shout out. Hello from PA. Thanks to everybody out there for the vote of confidence, because, like I said, she is definitely the brains of the outfit. So, jumping right into the farm news. Well, I finally got around to making some bone sauce. We had a little bit of rain the other day, and it's still a moderate fire danger, but the wind wasn't blowing, and I said, okay, let me go ahead and give it a shot. So we got some more in stock for anybody. I know there was a lot of people out there hitting us up about it. That stuff is very difficult to make. It takes a long time to make, and we got some rain coming tonight. And hopefully I can keep this stuff coming, but it's hard to say with the weather being what it is. They were spraying like crazy the other day. So it's like every single time they decide to go ahead and put those little marks up in the sky, I got to be real mindful, because the last 3 videos we had, basically YouTube said, hey, this ain't cool. Even though I have no idea what we talked about.
Yeah, I don't think you said well, you did. Yeah, never mind.
I didn't get that far out of it.
No, but you said, I remember what you said.
Yeah, I might have had that one shirt on that said V4CR.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that one. If you say that, I mean, it's like saying Voldemort, for crying out loud. Yeah, you can sit here and you can get on here and talk about all the filth in the world, but the second you talk about rescuing kids, or talking about the people that do rescue those kids, or how much money was raised in that Kentucky Sustainable Living Conference, Once again, want to give a shout out to Two Old Crows Homestead and Kentucky Sustainable Living, two fantastic YouTube channels, two fantastic families that, to my count, probably raised almost $12,000, I think, for vet. Oh, almost said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for V4CR. So, yeah, maybe somebody in the chat will let everybody know what that stands for. So,
they did last time.
Yeah, you did last time. And want to give everybody a shout out for just keep them in your prayers, y'all. Not only them, but
Sean Ryan is also getting something's going on. They're doing something to him on Instagram. He posted about it the other day. He's really getting into a lot of what's going on with children, and he's paying for it.
Well, Sean Ryan has a podcast, very, very popular podcast, and it's a very, very good podcast. So anybody considering any military service, I mean, would you agree with me? Because you're a veteran as well. Would you agree that anybody even considering going into doing any kind of military service should listen to that show?
Yes, but something that's interesting to me is a lot of those veterans that he has on there, he asks them like closer to the end of the podcast. And these are people, a lot of them are
special operators.
Right.
Stuff,
so they've been through probably the worst part of it. And he asked them, would you want your kids to go through this? And a lot of them say they wouldn't necessarily stop their, I mean, obviously you can't stop your kids, but I don't like, a lot of them say, no, I wouldn't want them to go through it. But if they did, I would have to support them. And I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it either, because if you listen to the harrowing stories of these guys and how they were been flat out discarded, their patriotism, I think, outweighs their, their sense of, is what they're fighting for really worthwhile? And overwhelmingly, I think a lot of them are saying no. All right. So anyway, if you're thinking about any of that, like I said, check out the Sean Ryan show. Check out the somebody in the chat just put it in there, V4CR. And there's a number of others out there as well that are doing a lot of this work, that are rescuing these people. I mean, these little ones that are really suffering in the worst kind of way. Bear Independent. Talked with him for a little more than an hour today, talking about what they got going on at Caleb House and how our involvement is going to be there. So we're going to do a consultation, and, they plan on housing a lot of these kids that are recovered and doing some of the recovery work themselves. So we're really praying that the Lord puts us in the right place to do everything we possibly can to eradicate this scourge from humanity. So I'm going to ask everybody also check them out. Check out Caleb House through Bear Independent. And they got the materials dropped the other day. I saw on their Patreon. They got the materials dropped and ready to kick it off and start getting some things done. But also they're going to need a lot of earthwork. So that's where we come in. And being that William's going to be out there, I'm going to hit him up and see if he can't knock out a consultation for those guys and, really get them off and running, because they have got a lot and they're going to need to feed a lot of people. And part of the way of being able to do that is designing their X amount of acres. I'm not going to say for tactical reasons what that is, but designing that to produce all the food possible for all the people that they recover and rehabilitate. They're doing unbelievable work out there. So y'all, please check them out. All right. Other farm news. Well, today I've been going at 100 miles an hour. Like I said, making bone sauce is very, very involved, but I'll tell you what else is too. And that's making compost extract, which in fact, we were in there until dark out there putting that stuff out. So if you don't know what that is, y'all, I did videos. Basically, I did a recent video, and I'm going to ask y'all to go check it out if you haven't already, and maybe pass it around. And here's why. If you only have a little bit of really good compost, you can stretch it in a massive way by making extract out of it. So then you can take that stuff, like I'll give you a prime example in a nutshell. So I take 5, 10, 15 gallons and add it to a 100-gallon stock tank, put water in there, let it come to about ambient temperature, put all this stuff together, and hook it up to a sprayer, spray it out on your pasture, spray it out in your gardens, do it any kind of way. But that is a way to really concentrate those microbes and be able to get them out on your pasture, get them in your garden, get them wherever you got to be. Now, I will say we don't have, because of our technical issues right now, we don't have, well, we do actually have a download from Eric. We also got one from Chef Snow. And I didn't get one from Pastor Lon, well, for a couple of reasons. I was hoping we were going to pretty much take off Thursday on Thanksgiving. Okay. But on the same token, I was going to, well, we're in that transition where Michelle is trying to figure out exactly how to work all this stuff. So, honey, by the way, you don't have to worry about all the chat stuff. You can actually scroll through all that. You don't have to write everything down.
I was just writing the questions down.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You can save yourself a little bit of time. So there's going to be a little bit of instruction as we go on here. Yeah,
I just don't want to miss any.
Well, we can always back up. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we can back up. It's better that we get you in the ball game here.
Okay.
Because honestly, it's you have a lot that you bring to the table.
Okay.
I keep bragging about how smart you are, but you keep hiding every time we try to get you on here.
Okay.
So what was your day like today? Farm news.
What? Oh my goodness. Well, I did some orders. God, helped you with the comfrey extract, had to move a sheep, and that was unexpected. So, but
you planted some comfrey too,
oh
right?
yeah, I did. I did. I had a few extra comfrey crowns. So I looked for spots for them because we're kind of running out of spots, and got those in the ground.
You don't really run out of spots. I mean, we can put them all through the pasture like we've been doing.
Yeah, some areas are just, I like to put them in the least compacted areas as possible. So there's some spots in the pasture that yeah.
Well, well, it is what it is. So what else? I mean, what have you been doing otherwise? Look, folks, on the main topic today, we're going to talk about something I think is a really big help for I think everybody ought to be doing it. And that's one of the big benefits we have on here. The problem with the podcast and the structure that it has been, and it's not necessarily a problem, is that you're always hearing it from a guy's perspective. And the overwhelming majority of our audience are really women about your age. So you always hear from a guy's perspective and you never hear from a woman's perspective. So that's exactly what I'm hoping to do with a lot of the shows right now. So the transition is what it is, but you're at least going to hear it from a highly intelligent woman who, like I said, everybody knows when you hang around her for any period of time, you know she's smart. Look at me, honey. Yeah, she's smart, highly intelligent, the brains of the outfit, and I can never get her to come on here. It's like pulling teeth. So, yeah. So with that said, like I said, ordinarily we go into Pastor Lon and stuff, but right now we're going to go into what formerly was known as bad news, good news. Now it's just good news. You got enough bad stuff rolling around in the world today, and you don't need me talking about any more of it, honey. I'm going to ask for your reaction to some of this stuff.
Okay.
Now, first good news article is about cranberries. I mean, it is Thanksgiving. Now, first of all, I hated I hated all things cranberry growing up. In fact, I hated most anything that grew from a plant growing up because where I grew up, everything came out of a box or a can. And that cranberry sauce, man, it was always astringent. It was nasty. I never liked it, but apparently it's a superfruit full of vitamin C. Apparently you knew all that, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So it's full of antioxidants and all that stuff. And what is it? What else is it good for? I mean, like you got some kind of...
I think it's good for any urinary health, like urinary tract infections, stuff like that, which it's better if you just drink the straight cranberry juice without the sugar. If you can get it down, it's pretty tart.
Yeah. Why not just, well, yeah, I never understood the big fascination with cranberries, holidays, whatever. I mean, in fact, for Thanksgiving, like we talked about last time, y'all, we don't do the turkey thing. We do barbecue.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. I mean, it's been a long-standing tradition around here. We're like, okay, nobody really wants to eat a turkey. I mean, yeah, I know there's some good examples and there's some good turkey recipes out there, I'm sure. But for the most part, man, if it's going to be Thanksgiving, well, I'm really thankful for barbecue. So maybe we can, smoked turkey's pretty doggone good too.
Yeah, smoked or fried.
So anyway, if you're gonna partake in the typical Thanksgiving fare, I guess if you got to eat that stuff, that cranberry sauce coming out of a can, well, at least there's some vitamin C in there. If it ain't all, with whatever else you're getting inside that can. All right, next good news story. Dallas and Los Angeles see the largest increase in shoplifting as U.S. economy falters. Now, honey, does that sound like good news to you?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, but it is. And here's why. Here's why I think it's good news is because that's exactly what it's going to take, y'all. The only way we get through the other side of this is if it gets worse. It's going to require the crucible of really, really hard times to get the United States of amnesia to wake up and recognize what these lunatics have done. Every DA controlled by source in every major city. You doubt me? Go find out. Go look. Find out that they are not supposed to prosecute any of the serious crimes. In fact, especially those crimes dealing with V4CR. Code language. I got to say it that way, and it's in the chat. Go look for it, for what that stands for. Any crimes that those people would be involved in, that's what they don't prosecute. But check it out. The only way this thing is going to flip around, if it can flip around, is a crucible of really hard times. You got people like Dan Bongino saying it's got to get worse. It's got to get worse. It's got to get worse. And sadly, I agree with him. I mean, so I'm going to call this one good news because right now the people, I mean, granted, I don't want to see anybody, come to harm or anything. But when you get down to brass tacks and a lot of this stuff, people are going to keep voting for the same idiotic nonsense until it gets to the point where you're like, okay, these people are crazy. I don't want anything to do with them. They're not looking after my family, not looking after me. Okay, so if you had to be in the city right now, honey,
I wouldn't be in the city.
Where would you be? If you had to be in the city.
As far away from the city as possible.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, not exactly.
I couldn't be in the city.
So you're a country girl? Yeah, she hates calling herself that.
I already know where it's going because he's gonna call me something else after that.
My Yellow Rose of Barton.
No, that's not what
My
you're
Yellow Rose
me.
of Barton. Yeah. Yeah. So there's more stories we could talk about this. No, she is a legit straight up country girl.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think I was going to say?
Yeah,
I wasn't going to call you a hayseed or anything like it. No, I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. All right. So the other good news story is, believe it or not, that was a good news story. All right. So I try to learn something. I know as cliche as it sounds, try to learn something every day, right? Well, there's a lot of good evidence out there that proves that. Now, it doesn't have to be anything monumental. And in fact, this whole I can't remember the guy that came up with the idea that you need 10,000 hours to be proficient at something.
Yeah.
That's absurd. It really is. Further studies show, to become an expert at something, technically you need 10,000 hours, but to be competent at something, you need very, very little. All you need is intermittent practice here and there. And that's why, I thought it was a double-edged sword. I can't think of the doggone guy's name, Malcolm. Anyway, I can't think of his name.
Gladwell.
Yeah, I think that's who came up with the 10,000 hours thing. Okay, well, you know how many people that scares away from ever trying farming or anything else? Because they feel like they got to be an absolute expert. But then you go back to my man, Joel. If it's worth doing, then it's worth doing poorly at first. So don't think you got to go out there, just learn that one thing and then build on it. Believe it or not, it's like playing a guitar. You learn a couple of things. You feel like a pig on roller skates, and then later on you pick it up a little bit more. Your brain is working on all those little things. It could be as simple as learning a foreign language. Now, this article here is talking about the 5 benefits of learning a new skill. Now, some of this stuff is going to sound obvious, but, I mean, there's scientific proof out there for it. And in fact, she and I both do this every single day. In this podcast, I talk about all the new things I'm trying. In fact, I'm about to really put my best foot forward into learning a new language so I can honestly cuss people out in Spanish. Do it proper, honey, I want to make sure I do it with the proper grammar. I don't want to just
didn't you learn that through your previous jobs?
I'm joking about cussing people out, but maybe
you
not.
You have to take a class for that.
No, or I could do it like the British, man, where they could tell you to go to hell and make you enjoy the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, smashing display there, William. Now, anyway, 5 benefits of learning a new skill. All right, now it keeps you healthy. Not only physically, but brain-wise. It's going to put you on the right track because, there's so many of us that do jobs, and I'm sure there's a lot of us out there. You do things that are very repetitive. On the farm, it may seem repetitive, but as well as I do that there's always deviations. I mean, you're moving the animals, but you're not moving them to the same spot.
Right.
So that's actually something new every day, just built in to your daily task. Believe it or not, it was one of the things I loved about the military is that every single day it was a different day. That's why I felt for so many people that have served, it feels like the time you spent in the military, you lived 2 lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It feels like you lived a couple of lifetimes in that period of time because no 2 days are the same. So it can be that same way, but you're going to have to, if you're working a regular 9 to 5, you can't just freestyle and do whatever it is you want. Not if you want to keep that job, but, just try little things throughout the day. Maybe the way you walk into work, is there another entrance in there? The way you leave, the way you drive home. Believe it or not, those little things count. It opens doors, okay? That's number 2. Learning this new skill, like, a language. So, you know what? Do you think you might win a little bit of goodwill if you knew it? Okay, prime example. You and I were up in French Canada, okay? If I spoke a little bit of French up there, if I could cuss these people out or find out what they were really saying about me, I'm just joking. But honestly, what kind of goodwill would I have built if I had the ability to at least say, you know what, I know a couple of words.
Yeah, at least something.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. Bonjour,
And some of those people were not amused by us or our lack of understanding of the French language.
Yeah, but what got me is that I know they knew English.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in there like trying to be cute at the gas station.
Yeah, but do you blame them? I mean, like,
because
Americans are a little arrogant, so I can't really blame them for having a bad attitude towards us.
Speak American, Jack. But I'm asking them like, hey man, how do you work this ATM? It's not ATM, but I'm trying to pay for the stuff at the counter, and I'm asking questions in English, and they're just pointing to the button. So you clearly know what I was asking you.
Yeah.
But maybe I should have just walked out. Well, you couldn't walk out. It was the only store for 100 miles. So they got you one way or the other. Well, it opens doors. That's number 2. Number 3, it increases your adaptability. And it really does. So when you're learning something new every day, if your brain is already geared for this, y'all been learning a whole lot about neuroplasticity as of late. And like I said, that's part of what we're covering in the main topic today, is it really does. When you get, prime example, this evening, I'm going out to go spray the extract in the pasture in new spots. She hits me with an emergency, happens at the last minute, and I'm like, doggone it, I'm losing the sun. I got a podcast to do, and I got a little bit of time. But because I've kind of trained myself, learning, expecting the unexpected, a lot of times that's the nature of farm work, that, hey, you just got to roll with the punches. And that's exactly what learning a new skill does. It also increases your likability. How many times, when you got a Renaissance person out there, a Renaissance man, Renaissance woman, they're always, the fact that, now, not your consummate know-it-alls or anything like that, but honestly, when it's a person that seems like they enjoy, a person who likes learning would generally listen and pay attention to what you're saying, if it's not something that they've ever heard before. So I definitely agree with that. And it also keeps you relevant. Yeah, I really do think it does. I mean, how many people, probably not the folks here, but how many folks get all their news from, let's say, CNN or Fox News? Now, they're very myopic people generally because they're being programmed. That's why they call it television programming. They're being programmed and they don't even know it 9 times out of 10. So the long and short of it is that it does keep you relevant to the real news that's going on out there. That's just by looking at other news sources as well. Anything you'd like to add to that, honey, by learning these new skills? Because you're picking them up you're doing new things every single day.
Right. And I think it's just like with this technology,
great point.
I relied on William to do a lot of it. And once you get out, once it moves so fast that once you get out, if you don't keep up with it, you're just far behind. And I felt that way. Even switching over from a personal computer to a Mac, I knew eventually I was going to have to do it, but it's such a learning curve, a pain in the butt to do. But I mean, you just have to be patient with yourself and just do it. Just take small steps at a time. I think that's the best just learn one small piece of thing at a time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But there, like I said, that article is going to lean into the main topic here in a little bit. Now, before we get into that, ordinarily we'd have a download from Eric. Like I said, we're working on the new tech. She's, quote, learning new things, and I'm also learning. Well, I'm working with a new partner now too, and I'm excited about it because, like I said, she's wicked smart, and it seems like the only one in the world that doesn't know it is her. So maybe I can kind of tease out some of that stuff in this podcast. All right, before we get into the main topic, remember the next segment of the show is brought to you by EMP Shield. And you can get $50 off with promo code PERMA. Now, I've been a journeyman electrician for a long, long time. And the reason why I hit up EMP Shield, they didn't hit me up like every other person we talk about here. The reason I hit them up is because nobody in the business provides a better guarantee. And I always talk about your number one threat is not, well, I would have said that before. Now, I would have said your number one threat is not necessarily an EMP, it's a lightning strike. Now, if you do get struck, I mean, at the house and it's installed there, it gets past it, goes downstream, let's say Kentucky Fries your phone, they're going to cover you up to 25 G's. That's why I hit up EMP Shield. That's why they're a sponsor of the show. So remember, go over there, get $50 off with promo code PERMA, PERMA. All right. So let's get right into the main topic here. And that's going to be rewiring your brain for positivity. I'm not sure okay, so you called it rewire your mind. We're getting into the new year here before long. Why not? Why not talk about New Year? They were talking about Thanksgiving 3 months ago. They were talking about Halloween. They had the Halloween stuff in
August.
Lowe's. And no, it was before then. It was in July. Might even been June. So anyway, I could talk about New Year's right now, but I think it's foolish. I think it's very, very foolish to wait until New Year's to make some really, really important changes in your life. Now, reason why we're calling rewiring your mind is she and I'm glad she's on here because I've kind of spoken about it before, but I'm glad she's here because she's been, maybe give it from a lady's perspective and what she's been doing. As far as learning something new every day, good night, y'all. If I had a nickel for all the work that we put in collectively as a family, the work we put into for self-improvement, it would blow your mind every single day. I mean, I'll hand it over to her in a second, but in a nutshell, every single day, I got to get into my Bible. It could be somebody asked me about an audio Bible, which I'll cover in a Q&A thing. It could even be an audio Bible. I got to do deep breathing. I got to sleep on sheets that I ground, literally ground. I have to literally put my feet on the ground for a specified period of time. I got to do deep breathing. These are all the maintenance things I do. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Got to read, got to do all these other things. Now, even if I were working a 9-to-5 job, there's no way I would not do these things. And the reason I'm doing them is to rewire my mind. And let me tell you the reasons why. You've heard me talk about it when I think, I can't remember what episode it was. You'd have to go back. And I gave a brief example of what it was like for me growing up and the things I had to overcome. And everybody in this chat right now, I guarantee could benefit from that episode. I can't even tell you what it was. But in a nutshell, like so many of you out there, I didn't have the perfect childhood. Nobody ever does. I don't even care if you were raised by Ward and June Cleaver, you probably had issues. So what happens is you find yourself on autopilot. You find yourself almost to a certain extent as an automaton if you are unaware of the programming that you carry ever since your youth. Now, there's a demarcation point. What that age is, I don't know. But you get to that point where you kind of basically accept this is who you are. And if you're not careful, that's who you're always going to be. And so all that I'm doing right now, not all of it, but a good portion of it, is undoing the wiring, the bad behavior, the miscommunication, the snapping at people that you love most. All that stuff has been wired into me. And I'm 52 years old, okay? And it's been wired into me for most of my life. And I've been spending months unwiring these things. Once I was aware of how I could actually do it. Now, Michelle, on your end of things, we don't have to go into any detail you're not comfortable with, but honestly, just getting down to brass tacks, why don't you talk about your daily routine and the things you're doing to rewire your mind and what that might look like from a female's perspective?
Well, some of the things that I have to do, I have to start with reading my Bible and praying every day. For me, the meditation, the meditation has been difficult lately. But the breathing, like the breath work. So I do my Bible, pray, and then I do my breath work, which for me has been it because meditation is sometimes hard. Breath work gets me to that place much quicker to where I can do the meditation. Because of the type of meditation that you do, you have to envision what you want your life to look like. And there's times where I struggle with what exactly is that going to look like, because you listen to the world, and they talk a lot about manifesting and manifesting a lot of like cars, money, like these things that I don't relate to. I'm not interested in having a Lamborghini. I don't. So I there for a while I was just stuck like, man, what do I even do? So it's taken me a little bit to figure out how to do that meditation. And I think that I've gotten to the point where I know what I want my future to look like finally. So I can do the meditation a little bit easier, but it's taken a little bit. Like when your past is a certain way and there's some negativity in it, sometimes it takes a little bit to get to the point where you believe that this isn't going to be a repeat. Like there are good things in the future.
Yeah, now with her, I mean, I'm just going to disclose this. The hardest thing in the world for me to get her to do is look after her. Y'all knock down dragouts trying to get her to do what she needs to do, to get her to take vitamins, to get her to do anything that will benefit her has been the frustration of my life. And you know, it's true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I see her like off balance and I'm like, okay, how are you doing? Have you done this? Just like Eric Sider always said, people care. Remember, in permaculture, we have earth care, people care, and abundance given to the previous two. But Eric had to really point this out to me in the past, where people care honestly starts with you. It's why when you're on a plane, something jumps off, you got to put on your own mask first. The reason why I'm talking about all this, the reason why I wanted to get into this is right now we have things that are literally unprecedented right now going on in the United States of amnesia, in the world. I mean, some people are saying it looks an awful lot like Matthew 24. Are we there yet? I don't know. But the point of it being is your money goes less. You got all these extra stresses on your shoulders. You may have families. You may have kids. You got all these other things falling down around you. And so the powers that shouldn't be, the last thing they want you to know, the last thing they want you to realize is you are responsible for everything you do and fail to do, and that you have it within you. And if you're a person of faith like we are, first of all, I'm going to seek the Lord, and I'm going to pray that my feet are planted on the direction that he would have me go. Okay, that's what works for us. But at the same time, you can tap into these other things, and there are so many tools out there, and you can extract. So from my Christian faith, there's certain things in these meditations I'm just not going to participate in. There's going to be a part where I jump off. When you start conjuring Kundalini and all this other stuff, can't deal with that. But if you're helping me get a hold of the negative thoughts that I feel every single day that were programmed into me, yeah, I can work with that. If you're helping me envision a future like today, as I was doing my meditation, I'll tell you what I envisioned. It wasn't money. Like she said, we're not motivated by those things. And I know it's usually broke people that say that, but the truth of it is, I've never been motivated by those things. Even when I made lots of money, I was never motivated by a new car. I always drove broke down junkers, and so is she. I mean, that's never where we put our resources. It's never been what interested us. But in my meditation today, I'll tell you what I envision. I envision, for me, being an instrument to stop child sex trafficking. I envisioned taking every resource I have or that I'm able to muster and giving it to the people that kick in these doors and rescue these kids. Because if you think the government's doing it, well, I got news for you. I envisioned also loving my family in a depth that I didn't even know was possible. I envisioned putting out videos that make so much difference in the world that I'm no longer needed, that nobody ever needs to watch these videos and figure out how to farm. I envisioned being the kind of guy that I'm just imagining myself hugging these children that were rescued. That'll probably never happen. But that's what I'm imagining. And then also at the same time in these meditations, I'll tell you what I'm also doing. There's a portion in there where I'm getting rid of the person I don't want to be. Okay? She will tell you one of my biggest problems up until recently, and I'll let her be the judge as to whether or not I've been successful with all the work that I've been putting in, is I am notoriously impatient. I'm patient when it comes to animals. When it comes to people, I mean, honestly, I can get those sheep, chickens, I can get an animal to do anything I want it to do. But I have little patience, especially when a person is notoriously inefficient. Got anything clever to say there?
That would be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really care so much about efficiency. I just want things done a certain way.
Yeah. And for me, they got to be efficient. But my point being in all of this is that I've been putting in a lot of work as far as within this meditation, extracting, removing the man I don't want to be. So I'm like, okay, is being impatient improving anything? No. Okay, so instead of saying anything, I'm going to make myself aware when these thoughts come up and say, nope, not going to do that. Or I got a problem with my temper at times. I can't stand saying things more than once. And I've been really putting in a lot of work on that sort of thing. And so my point being, when I'm saying rewire your mind, it can be done. There's tons of resources out there, whether it's Joe Dispenza. I mean, the internet is full of them. And all of them, to one extent or another, have at least some way to get you there. But honestly, like I told you this morning, we had a long talk in the kitchen this morning where I was like, you know, if I could almost cry when I stopped to consider that I've been a freaking robot for almost 4 decades. But unlike so many others, at least I'm aware that, these thoughts don't have to run me. I can run my thoughts. So when I'm sitting here thinking negativity or thinking things that really don't belong in my brain in terms of, honestly, y'all, there's some people, well, I was going to get back to that V4CR thing and what I'd like to do to some of those people that harm people, but I'm not going to say it because that's really not my place to do it. But the point of it being is that I am successfully, I'll ask you, and don't be afraid to, you're not going to embarrass me. So since I started doing this, to what degree do you think I've been successful at rewiring my mind?
Well, I think you've been very successful. Just for an example, a lot of times, like in the morning, we go out and we move all the animals. And that would typically be the time when something would happen. And then we would get into an argument because I was doing things a certain way and you didn't want things done that way.
Inefficiently.
And I thought it was, I don't care about being efficient because I want it done right. So, but there hasn't been that. Like we'll get into, just minor arguments over stuff.
But
it's
also,
not. It's you just drop things. You just don't argue about things.
Yeah, because in the aggregate, it's really, I'm like, man, how much of my life have I wasted being a doggone robot? And because we all do it unless you're aware that you're doing it. And then we just think, well, he just has a temper. No, that's not how it works. You can change these things. And then people out there to say, oh, you can never change. Look, I've rewired my brain more than once, and you're aware of it. And you still live in a place. I mean, the reason why I think this is so important is because in the coming days, you're going to need. Yeah, Sandy says right there, wood chipper. That's exactly the thoughts I'm thinking half the time. Honestly, when I'm listening to some of these podcasts or making myself aware, yeah, there's certain types I want to toss in. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. But the truth of it is, that's not my place right now. Maybe my place is to raise so much awareness, to raise so much money, and to do all the things I need to get the people funded, to make everybody, I mean, these are the things I envision. It's not being wealthy. It's not any of that stuff. I mean, it's really not. I don't care about those things. All I need is to be and behave in the way I should be. Remember, the Bible says, let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. We can't really do that if I'm twisting off and wanting to throw people in a wood chipper all the time.
Some people need to go in the wood chipper.
Okay, honey, that was not exactly helpful, but I get the point. Well, how are you doing? Okay, let me ask you on your end. I want to ask you, how successful have you been? Because honestly, there's folks getting her to take a prescription. It's tough. So,
but also like I see a lot of the women in the comments. I think Sandy Phillips said it, but a lot of women, like, it's just like you're a mother, you take care of other people before it's almost like it's just in our DNA. We just take care of everybody else. And like, we just take care of us last. Well, I mean, it's just a lifelong thing when you have kids, and like, that's just what you do. So putting yourself first in the morning, it's difficult because it seems very selfish. And you look at this long list of things you have to do, and it's like, man, I have so much to do. I really don't feel like I have time to stop and do my meditation and do my breathing. And it's hard. And there are days that that I don't get it done.
And that's what I got to say. And you can tell because, and I'll say, look, hey, stop what you're doing. Go do your Bible study. Go get your stuff squared away. Leather Homestead's in the house. Yeah, y'all go check out the YouTube channel there. Also, Tay, that's exactly Victor Marks. Yeah, that's exactly who I was listening to on Sean Ryan today. Had me in tears, and I'm like, all I want to do is put an end to this garbage. And that's, if I can use whatever platform, whatever we have to make a difference in this world, that's where my meditation goes. But honestly, it all starts. Remember, I can't go out there and do these other things if I'm not playing with a full deck. I mean, if I'm struggling with my own violent thoughts or my own self-loathing or whatever the case may be, all of us are going to have different things. If I'm in here struggling with these other things, I can't possibly be the best version I should be to do these other things. So that's part of the reason of getting of rewiring our minds. Folks, what I'm trying to get at, what she's trying to get at also, is I'm going to say, in terms of both of us putting in the work, I mean, I think you would agree I've put in a lot more work because I will make it a priority, even though I'm like, man, I've got to get this done. I got to get that done. I got all this. I made myself stop in the middle of making bone sauce today. Look, take my shoes off, go sit in the rocking chair, go get in the grass, put my feet on the ground. And I'm going to do this. It's okay. Here's how committed you got to be to do this. In your life, anybody out there in the chat, anybody listening to this, can you name a single time in your life you ever had an excuse for not brushing your teeth? No, you haven't. So why make an excuse for why you didn't work out or why you didn't do, your mental work? I mean, obviously it's probably a little more important than brushing your teeth. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, maybe our priorities are a little misaligned. So if I don't have an excuse for not ever having, you never went anywhere and said, man, unless you're some filthy SOB. I mean, honestly, most people have never said, hey, man, you're just going to have to overlook it, bro. I didn't brush my teeth today. Yeah, I've worked around some funky dudes before. I'm sure it happens, but nobody's ever audibly said that. But people will say, man, I just didn't have time to work out. Or better still, man, I didn't put in the work today to get my head right. You know, nobody ever talks about that sort of thing. But we got to do it, and you got to do it starting with yourself. Shout out to whoever gave that $5. Pimping ain't easy, but your pimp cast helps. Well, thank you so much, Josh. And I really, you know, I read all the comments that come in. Sorry, y'all, we get so many emails. I can't necessarily respond to everybody, but I do read them. And a lot of times I'm going to respond to them right here in the emails or anything. So, Michelle, what other look? I mean, I'm so thankful to have you on this pod, even though it is Thanksgiving. I'm thankful to have you on this podcast. Thankful you're the homestead honey. But honestly, what advice can you give to a lot of the ladies out there that might be considering doing what you're doing right now and making the transition? Because honestly, when I make her conscious of it, I can see the difference. But it's when she starts going on autopilot is when we don't see the difference. So for all the folks out there that are thinking about taking that plunge and putting in some mental work, what would you tell them?
I would just encourage everybody to do it. Number one, you can do it. And that's take time for yourself. Just take it in small, just do one. I mean, you don't have to tackle grounding and breath work and meditation and like all this stuff at once. Just take one thing and get it down and then move on to maybe something else. But I just want to encourage all the women out there because I think so many of us have confidence issues, and I think a lot of them have just maybe been beat down. And I just want to encourage you and tell you that you can do it. Even if you think even if it's hard, like whatever is hard, I know you can do it. I mean, I've looked at things that I didn't think that I would ever be able to get through because I just don't have the confidence. And I was able to do it. So I know that if I can do it, that if you just be patient with yourself and just take it a little bit at a time, and I know you can do it.
Yeah, it helps also if you have somebody that's going to, and it doesn't have to necessarily, if you got a spouse that isn't going to do that, I guarantee you can find a friend that can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee we'll do it. I guarantee there are people in this chat that will do it. There's so many people out there where I've been her cheerleader forever and a day. I remember when she was going through college. I mean, I won't go through all of it right now, but her confidence issues, I mean, she was so frustrated, like, I don't feel like I'm smart enough. Mm-hmm. Well, she's saying that as she's taking Calc 2. Okay. So, but the point of it being is that once you put in the work, you work hard, you work tirelessly. Well, it's just a matter of refocusing that same effort into getting your confidence right. And yeah, like Michelle said, okay, so don't do it all at the same time. Let me just offer this though. If you're going to go out and you're going to ground, and what I mean by that, for those that don't know, let's say you're going to sit in the chair and put your feet on the ground. Let's say you're going to do it for 15 minutes. Well, if you're going to do that, you just as well listen to the audio Bible at the same time. And then, you know what? Once I'm done with that, I'm like, okay. Or let's say you don't do that. Let's say if you're going to put your feet on the ground, maybe do some Wim Hof breathing, do some guided breath work. Like I told you, that guy breathed with Sandy. I mean, you can do that for 5 minutes. He's got that, like I said, that 5-minute coffee thing. You can bundle. Remember, in permaculture, we stack functions. So when you work on your mind, when you work on uncluttering your mind, stack those functions. And that's exactly why I think this was so important. That's why my first episode with her, I really wanted to cover this. So I thought long and hard when she asked this morning, what did you want to talk about? I was kind of back and forth on a few things. And then when I really thought about it after our conversation in the kitchen, I was like, yeah, let's talk about rewiring your mind. Because frankly, I know we can talk about permaculture all day long, but what good is any of it if you're living in misery or you're dealing and battling with these thoughts that you've been having ever since you were a kid? There are ways to rewire it to where every time that thought comes in that you think is normal, you can say, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a thought, but do I actually believe it? Do I really think I'm worthless? Do I think, as I was told by somebody that should have loved me most, that I should have been aborted? I mean, do I have to believe that? No, I don't have to believe that. I don't have to believe that, but it just takes training. And look, I know there's a lot of folks out there suffering. I know that you can do it. So I'm not going to belabor the topic. If we can be of any blessing or benefit to you out there, or those of you in this chat can do it, let's all be a blessing to one another. And remember, if you're new coming in, just hit that. Go ahead and hit that like button and follow and all that good stuff. So thank you for all the kind words out there, y'all. For those that are listening audibly, you can't see what's in the chat, but man, the love is real. And we love the bones of all of you folks out there, and you're extraordinary. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Moonsprout. I saw your comments and I appreciate them.
Yep, she ain't the homestead honey for nothing, y'all. And honestly, we're going to get more and more into it, and try to empower as many of you folks out there as possible, especially for the women out there. We're going to do more episodes. She's going to be here. Everybody just get ready, because I'm telling you, she's in the house. And if I can actually get her to come completely untethered, you're going to find out the full extent of just how wicked smart she really is. All right, so we're going to move on into the Q&A section. Before we do that, y'all, I want to make you aware that the Texas Boys at TexasBoys.com got a food forest in a box. Yeah, it almost seems like a Dr. Seuss cat. Ain't there something about a cat in a box or cat in a hat? Anyway, food forest in a box. So for some reason, maybe it's that time of year, just reminds me of Dr. Seuss. Anyway, they got a legit, seriously good price for a food forest in a box. Tons of instructional videos on their website. At least all the videos that haven't yet been suppressed, because YouTube is in a full court press to suppress those boys. Anyway, you can reach out there, go check them out at the website. You'll be glad you did. They also got honey. They'll sell beef. They got a bunch of other things, and you might want to go check them out. The Texas Boys. All right, so we're going to get straight into the Q&A. And once again, thanks everybody out there for the wonderful, fantastic messages in here. And yes, she does rock. See that, honey?
No, I didn't see
Hip hop, yeah. Don't stop.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Kevin says, I'm going to have to work on this in my. So check this out. In a nutshell, Kevin, and he's pointing out a really good thing. So if anybody's ever watched any of the videos we do out there, we basically do something of a sheet mulch when we get these trees going. You put down a cardboard and all that good stuff. And he's talking about, all the plywood scraps, pallets, drainage pipes, all these things that are actually on a construction job that 9 times out of 10 are going to go in a landfill. And believe it, there's a whole lot of cardboard on a construction job. Yeah, I can't believe, it's almost embarrassing, after having spent so many years as a journeyman electrician on construction jobs, that you think I would have pointed something like that. But honestly, that is the beauty of this community, is everybody's filling in the gaps that maybe I missed, or maybe I'm filling in some of your gaps, or she's filling in some of your gaps. Either way. So, Kevin, that's a really, really good, awesome way of going about it. Monica's over here saying, okay, so Monica, she sends me a picture of them playing tic-tac-toe in the sky, which, she says, we could literally play tic-tac-toe in the sky. They're helping bring in the rain for tomorrow. Yeah, I just mentioned that at the beginning of this. Yeah, there's always rain every time they do some of that stuff. And question for you, do you still take that cardio miracle? My husband is thinking about trying it and wanted to hear your pros and cons. The only con of it is the stuff ain't cheap. I take it twice a day, every day. And I got to say, I said it before when I first talked about this stuff. I didn't reach out to them for a deal or anything like that. For some reason, for a lot of the things that are health related stuff that we've talked about on here, I know there's nothing wrong with it, but I never thought about profiting from it. I never thought about, should I reach out to them and do an affiliate deal or anything like that? Even though I use that stuff every single day. No, I don't have an affiliate deal. I don't have a discount or anything like that. But yeah, Eric Sider provided me. It's a multivitamin mixed in. It's nitrous oxide is what it is. Tons of stuff done on it. I use it every day. And honestly, I can tell you, if I do any physical activity and I take that stuff, like in the morning, I can walk we got 1,000-foot elevation here, and it feels like I could walk up every bit of it after I take some of that stuff. So it creates a little bit of vasodilation, as I understand it, But yeah, the stuff is great. But you can also go to Dr. Mercola. Go look at the beet, BEET root powder, considerably cheaper. And I actually got some of the Covenant. I just got some the other day because that stuff, that Cardinal Miracle, it ain't cheap. But beetroot powder, you can probably get to the same place. It's basically the same thing. It's also a DIY way of doing this that Eric Sider taught me. So, yeah, you definitely have other options out there. So, Michelle, what do we got? Okay, well, hang on. Somebody was asking, Jerry, this is an email that he sent at the website. It says, Billy, what audio Bible do you listen to? I'm wanting to listen to the audio version as I'm working outside or driving. Does it have a radio voice or is it monotone? Well, there's one of them that I have that's monotone. And look, all I know is it's like the app says Holy Bible, King James Version. And the guy narrating it, I don't know his name, but it's this English dude that does absolutely, positively the best narration I've ever heard of the Bible. I don't know his name, but I'm telling you what, there is no way you will listen. I will bet money. You probably listen twice as long if you hear him narrate the Bible. Is it the same app you use?
I don't use an app. I bought the Bible. It's an audio book, but it's called like the Listener's Audio Bible. It doesn't say who, but it's the same. I think it's the same guy.
English dude?
Yeah, it's an English guy.
Yeah, so I got to say, yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I was sitting here going through today. I'm going through Genesis again. The way I do my audio Bible, I may have particular areas of memorization, like in Psalms or study or whatever. But then I have one version where I'd use it for that. And then the other version I listen to while I'm doing stuff. And that version, it is off the hook. I'm sitting here listening to, I'm through midway through Genesis right now. And I'm like, wow, man. I mean, I love obviously the stories and I'm picking up things. No matter how many times you've been through it, I'm picking up things that I didn't notice before. And I'm like, man, I bet I listened twice as long just because this guy is not just reading in the beginning, God created. He's not doing any of that stuff. There's a dramatic interpretation, and it really, really, I think it's a really big help for a bunch of people out there that, may not be as interested. All right, another question says, potted trees. I have 3 potted trees, citrus, and I hear that Billy does a cardboard and mulch system on his trees. Would that work on potted trees? Also, I have a worm bin. I fortified the soils in my garden and the pots. I'm not quite sure how that answers. Anyway, again, congratulations for the grandbaby. Yeah. So the potted trees, I have 3 potted trees, and I've never done it in a pot. I'll be honest with you. I've never tried sheep mulching in a pot. Can it be done? Probably. I've never done it. You ever done it?
No, never done it.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I think
because if you put
cardboard,
once. Yeah, we've put we've grown like potatoes, but it's interesting. You could try it. It's never going to hurt to try, but do you have life in your potting, in your pots? Like, because the worms, I mean, maybe they would eventually find their way in there. I'm not sure. It would be a good experiment to try. Like, look at the life in your soil before and then add cardboard and all that. And then like, look to see if there's life in it after, like check and see if it breaks it down, like how much. It would be a good experiment.
Yeah, try it. I mean, I really don't know anything about it. Rob says, listen to the Pimpcast yesterday and was curious when William's going to be moving to Texas, like maybe catch him in Asheville for a consultation before he leaves out. Yeah, he's already hit the first thing smoking. He's actually flying back in for tactical reasons. I'm not going to reveal too much right here. But yeah, I think you kind of missed him, bro. Yeah, maybe reach out to Eric Sider. He'll get you squared away. Let's see here. Alan says, wanted to thank you and William. Yeah, I can't really go through all of it, but basically Alan Reed, man, such a wonderful person. And he's doing episodes. I mean, he's actually working on fasting as well. And I think he's down another 20 pounds or so. So a lot of that stuff helped too. So yeah, we're always trying new things around here. Not just talking about it, y'all. We're really trying it and not trying it. Look, I don't know how to do anything. It's a blessing and a curse. I really don't know how to do anything halfway. I really don't. I don't know how to, and that can be, you can be rather obsessive if you don't. So it can be good things you do all the way, or it can be bad things you do all the way. But that's a double-edged sword. So,
Fed Up just said, I get a lot of worms in my 5-gallon bucket, so it might work. So yeah, I would definitely try it. Also, we did have a question. Somebody asked us, can you share how you prepared your strawberry patch to prosper?
well, I figured, why don't you run with that, honey?
We didn't.
No, we actually kind of did, because we had wood mulch. We had a substrate out there basically that would be very favorable to strawberries.
Yeah, but as we didn't do a ton. I mean, because the part
wood
there,
chips.
Yeah, wood chips. But yeah, I guess that's about all we did was wood chips. But I mean, we didn't do anything extensive.
No, it was basically, okay, so they're going to do well in a fungal environment. Well, wood chips are pretty fungal. And the way they set out those runners and everything, man, it's like, it's almost invasive. I mean, it really is. And that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I mean, good night. What else you got? What's on the paper?
That was something. I'm scrolling through. I don't know.
Well, there were a couple of questions out there.
There were mostly comments. I don't know if there were too many questions.
Well, look, if anybody has any questions in the chat, let's go ahead and spit them out there. I know there was some earlier, y'all. Sorry, we're managing a bunch of things all at the same time while doing this, so sorry about that. But hey, y'all, I guess we've gone about an hour, so I think that's a pretty good. You know what? I think it's a pretty good first start for you to be on here right now. Man, thank you so much, y'all, and hopefully this has really been a blessing to you. I mean, I'm dead serious. There are so many free options out there to get your mind rewired. Maybe the first thing you need to do is just be able to think clearly, which deep breathing helps to do. It really does. Figuring out, I'm telling you, these breathing modalities really, really work. They're free. I gave you one the other day, Breathe with Sandy. Now, like I said, you can stay away from some of that weird stuff, but just absorb what's useful, what you think is useful, and drive on with it. Y'all, I want to thank you so much for checking us out tonight. Stay alert.
Stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. Living kamikaze, got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to spin up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I will never bow down, 'cause I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior.